Branches, of course, grow upwards. We all know that. There's no fear of branches dying if you bring them down, as long as horticulturally you do the right things with it. For instance, we know semi-cascade and cascade will bring the branches down. But to help the tree to survive, it's always advantageous to make sure the lower branches are turned up. They will naturally grow up themselves anyway because they want to grow back towards the light. But if, for instance, you've got a juniper or a pine which doesn't grow so quickly, always have the tail coming down, then the tips are growing upwards. It doesn't matter, if say this is the tail of your cascade, it doesn't matter whilst the tree is growing, you have it sitting up like that. Because it still then will bring the food down the branch of the tree and feed the tail, and because you've got strong growth here, then you'll get all the sap flow you need into the lower branch. Some variety of junipers, of course, are a ground cover. They will naturally grow that way. They won't grow down, but they'll grow along the ground, and you can push them below that point. But if you can help it as the trees grow and keep it upright all the time, when you put it into a show, bring it back down again. When you get it back home, push it back up again. You read a lot in the books, or you see a lot in the books perhaps, or you've done it yourself, about using raffia around the branches to help when you wiring them, say to get curves like this, you could possibly put raffia around the trunk of the tree. Any of you work with raffia yet at all? Yeah, usually.
One tree.
It's a messy job. You wet it, let it soak for about an hour, take it out, stretch it, pull it out. It's all in little pieces because only raffia is only grass, what we use for weaving baskets and all things like that. You've got to stretch it out and then put it on, rub it around the tree, tie it up, then you can wire over it. But me being a bit lazy, or trying to get things done quickly, I use a couple of other different things. If you've got a relation or somebody you hate really much, you can cut up their wetsuit and use the neoprene. That works really well. Or you can use bicycle ties, inner tubes of bicycle ties. That'll do the same job. And all it's doing is protecting the bark from stretching and splitting. Any of those will work quite well, no problems at all. You can use any material. You can use, I've seen people even use wet newspaper. That's worked quite well as well, but it does break down. Shallow pots. Shallow pot, a deep pot. Which one? It's pretty obvious, I suppose, but which one will drain water first?
The big one.
The bigger one.
The deep one.
The big one.
One of the smaller.
So the water falls through it.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, that one. And why?
Oh, you don't want me to answer this, do you?
We've got a big
That's
area
okay.
on that one, so it's going to, unless
Talking about this.
gravity.
Over the back.
Does the water stay in the bottom half-inch bit more of the pot? Whatever the size of the pot?
More surface area on that one?
Thank you. Surface area. It's all to do with surface area and pressure. Everything that's keeping us on this earth, pressure. That's why we've got a lot of weight on our heads that's keeping us on the earth is pressure. And if you've got a deep area like this, it'll go through pretty quickly. For instance, a cascade pot will drain very quickly because it's got a lot of surface pressure on one small area which will force the water out. If you've got a flat area, which is very long, the surface area is greater than the pressure coming on it. And the water will sit there, it's what they call perch. Perched water, I'm sure you've heard of perched water. Perched water will sit there over a longer period of time, so your trees dry out more slowly in that than it will in that. Well, that will dry. And why will that dry? Reflected heat. It reflects back. It reflects the heat back. because it's stone, as you know, stone in your yard will reflect heat back more quickly than, say, that's why it's good to keep all your trees on wooden benches, because they absorb the heat. If you put it on the pavement or on the concrete, you get reflected heat from the concrete, which will dry out very quickly. And the same with the slate, it reflects the heat, it gets very hot. That's why you try not to put your trees too close to a house, because reflected heat from your house is hotter than the sun. Now we're talking about the journey of trees and what they've been in the past and what they are developing into now. This pine I saw about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I can't remember, when it belongs to Sioux Creek, and as you can see, it had a branch here and had 2 branches from this one at the back. And so what we've done with this tree is take on another journey.
Lovely pot.
It's a nice pot. This is a Japanese pot made in China. Straightened up, they've got their own kilns in China now, Japan, so there's a lot of pots coming out of China that are actually Japanese pots. This is now coming to what I call a really exceptionally good tree. I think the original owner is sitting in the room here somewhere. But it doesn't matter whose tree it was before or whose it is now. It's just that how the tree metamorphoses from one to another. So yesterday this had a very big long branch here and it had a double branch here acting as a back branch in the big pot. I tried to talk Sue into it 3 or 4 years ago to change it and she wouldn't, but luckily Gavin gave her the hard yak over the weekend and we managed to do it. So it's starting its journey again on another journey. I think this is going to be really quite an exceptional tree in the future. So what we've done this weekend is just to prepare the tree for the future, because it's got another 3 to 5 years of growing to do before it even reaches maturity. So the tree's over 30 years old, I guess, by now.
Yeah, it was about 20 years ago I sold this too.
Yeah, so the tree would have been 10 years.
Branches on it then.
It would have been probably 10 years old then.
Oh, could have been more.
Or more. It doesn't matter, because with bonsai it's the illusion of age. It doesn't matter about the age. We can make the tree look older than it is by doing techniques that we've been doing, that some of you know what to do and have been doing, which is changing the style of the tree and reducing it. I got Gavin to trim all the needles back, as you can see, and one thing which they always tell you on a black pine, never trim the needles back. But I don't listen to any of that. Because you can do it, but when you do it, you're doing it for a reason. You're not just doing it to give the tree small needles and make it look nice. Because we love our needles on the pines to be that size, permanently. The only way you can get needles on a pine that small permanently is to go and buy a Yatsubusa, Japanese black pine which has got a small leaf. That's the only one which will stay small leaf constantly. This will grow back to be a normal sized needle by the end of summer. If it survives, if I haven't killed it. It will grow back to be normal needle size. So what we've done is to trim it back to within, actually I'd like it back to be a little bit shorter again, but it'll do for now. By doing this, it will encourage back budding. So all back budding will all these needles join onto the branch of the tree, you'll get new buds developing at that point. So it'll become denser, so you get some really nice pads of foliage developing all up on the tree. It still needs a bit of finalising to determine all the branches. The crown's got to fill in a bit.